What's up, everybody? It's your boy Will coming at you with a new movie log. Same channel, different backdrop. Real estate space in the new house is kind of tight, so we'll see about figuring out some kind of arrangement where I'm flanked by the classic movie posters that y'all have come to know and love. But until then, I'm trying to just write and shoot as many of these videos as I can before June, when things are going to start getting crazy at my job. I haven't had the opportunity to see a lot of new films this year, but I have seen a few, and figured I would come on here and share my thoughts on the new John Wick movie. John Wick Chapter 4 is the latest installment in the wildly successful Gun Fu franchise with Keanu Reeves in the titular role. It's rare that an action franchise maintains its relevance 2 or 3 movies in, much less 4, but there are a few examples of different movie series where the 4th movie is seen by many to be a highlight. Some examples being the Mad Max series and the Mission Impossible series, which both boast really strong 4s. Granted, those were somewhat special circumstances. I mean, George Miller took 30 years between Mad Max 3 and 4, and the Mission Impossible team just has an unusually strong reputation for refining its campy but sleek live action formula with each new installment. I think the through line with all of those movies is that you tend to have the same creative team working on all of them. There are some notable exceptions, but without Tom Cruise, George Miller, Keanu Reeves, and Chad Stahelski being there to sort of guide the creative vision of each new installment, it's hard to imagine those franchises being as consistent and successful as they are. And if you look at the reviews for the new John Wick movie, the creative partnership between Keanu Reeves, Chad Stahelski, and everybody else involved seems to be vindicated, as many people are calling this the high watermark of the series. And while there were a handful of moments that had me as enthralled as I was watching the previous installments, unfortunately I just wasn't as enthusiastic about the new movie as everybody else seems to be. For me, each John Wick movie feels like it brings something new to the table in some unique way. The first movie felt like a revelation. The second one takes what the first one brings to the table and simultaneously scales it up and refines it. The third movie takes its bombastic set pieces to truly gratuitous heights. But with the new one, I just don't really know how it fits into all of this in terms of what it brings to the table that's unique. Pretty much everything leading up to the final act feels like a rehash of everything that we've seen up until this point, especially as far as the plot is concerned. I mean, the movie starts with the entire criminal underworld trying to kill John, and then he goes out and seeks help with somebody who owes him a favor. It's usually somebody with some gimmicky shtick. In this one, we see a blind drunken master, an expert tracker who always wears a beanie and has a dog. Rina Sawayama has a bow and arrow, so there's that. And then he gets into some extended shootout, and then through that finds out that there's one person that he can kill to save his own skin. And then the rest of the movie is just about him trying to kill that person. I just couldn't really get over the fact that we've seen this all played out before virtually the same way. Some of the characters here are fun to watch when the actors who play them are chewing the hell out of their scenes. Scott Adkins is positively impish as Killa Harkin. Donnie Yen as Kane brings a signature warmth and humor to his performance. Bill Skarsgård is appropriately menacing here as the villain, although I still prefer watching Riccardo Scarmaccio in Chapter 2 get his just desserts more than any other antagonist in the series. Still, the series has set a high bar for itself, so even when it is, in a way, just kind of running through the motions, those motions are still pretty elaborate and exciting to watch. And that's just kind of how I felt about the first 2/3 of the movie. I mean, the final set piece that takes place in Paris did leave me feeling like I was watching something novel and exciting. Watching John have a shootout while he's doing a car chase and then continue that shootout in the middle of a busy traffic circle made me feel like I was watching the series live up to its full potential. The scene in the hotel where he takes some kind of pyrotechnic rifle and then we just see him go to town on everybody in this single overhead shot that goes on for about a minute or two reminded me of the kind of gratuity that I was talking about in the third John Wick movie in the best way possible. One problem I did have with the final set piece, however, was the number of times we see John fall down in a way that would break a normal man's neck. I mean, there's the final big shootout on the staircase where we see him fall down and just continuously fall down the stairs for like 5 or like 10 seconds straight. And then this is right after we see him fall out of a building 2 stories, fall on top of a car, and then bounce off of it onto the cobblestone pavement. It's not the first time this happens in this movie or the series. I guess it just kind of speaks to an internal logic in these movies that, for whatever reason, I just had a hard time wrapping my arms around. And it's not like it's something that I shouldn't have been acclimated to. I mean, we see him fall on his face getting thrown off of a balcony whenever he's pursuing Theon Greyjoy in the first movie. And now that I'm more acclimated to that internal logic, I could see myself enjoying this upon repeated viewings. And there are certain things about these movies, certain characteristics that just kind of like hit me whenever I was watching this one in particular. Like, seeing him continuously fall from like 2 to 3 story heights and then like land on his face and then like just get up and keep going. I mean, it does speak to a certain kind of brutality that exists in the John Wick franchise. Another thing that really struck me when I was watching this was when he's shooting people, like, most of the time the people he's shooting like have bulletproof vests. So the movies, and this, it's not just true of this movie, it's true of all of the John Wicks, but it makes a point of showing him sort of disabling the people that he's fighting by shooting them, you know, once in the torso or the leg or whatever, and then you just see him like do that and then just shoot them in the head like execution style, like over and over and over again. I mean, there's a certain brutality and almost like cruelty that these movies have that I think is just kind of characteristic of their sort of like tone and kind of just the character of the violence in them. So yeah, like I said, I enjoyed it. I also felt like it was a rehash of all of the previous installments, and overall, I would say that John Wick Chapter 4 left me feeling satisfied, albeit a little underwhelmed. 3 out of 5 stars.